we're just gonna quickly go over blending for straight grain. So I'll get up my first print, pick it up here. Now on these, sometimes when you first pick up in that section there, there'll be some little bubbles inevitably. So I like to start back a little bit further from there. So not right at that edge, but a little bit further. So I'm gonna stick this down and let's pretend like I got that far. Now I'm gonna clean off my roller. Always use clean paper. Make sure you clean off the roller good. And then you're going to use your sandpaper. Make sure you don't have any globs on the sandpaper. Put this down and hold it with a magnet. Now this is important. You have to get all the ink off, or otherwise you'll get a darker section here than is here. So get all the ink off. Make sure. If you leave some, it's going to be darker. Okay, now you want to get your next print.
Oh. Let me check under here, make sure there's no line. Because now's the time to check for a line.
No line, because we went across. We never wipe down, always across. Now we'll put the next section down.
And talk about registering the print.
Well, I'm just going to put it down. I'm not going to even pay attention to where I'm putting it. So now let's see what we got. So that's not too bad.
No.
So here's what I'm going to do. You don't want to add ink. You hardly ever want to add ink. You just want to move the ink that's there. So I'm going to come with this dry brush. There's no ink on it. And I'm just going to move some of this back and forth a little bit. So the idea is just to make it not a glaring area. Do that. You can use the brush part. If you don't like the brush part, you can use the pencil part. The brush part is working pretty good, but I'll just move this a little bit with the pencil part. I just like that sometimes.
The eraser.
The eraser. And you're just tapping it, moving it a little bit. So now I just want to add a little bit right here. So I'm going to get a tiny bit on my paper. Because when I say a tiny bit, I'm going to dip it and then I'm going to wipe it so that it's literally a tiny bit. Then I'm going to come back and just make some tiny little lines just to blend that in. Not too much. Generally the less you touch it, the better. I'll pull this heavy line through a little bit. Pull that through. Pull this one through. Here's one. Tiniest bit. Okay. And then I will leave that alone and move on.
Looks good. So after it dries, is it a lot harder than to blend?
After it dries, you can use your pencil eraser and you can come back and erase lines. Like if you said later you come back and you said, oh, I don't like that, it's not quite right. You can literally take this and erase a line, but it's a little bit harder. So it's better to deal with it while it's wet.
All righty.